I think I'm doing this properly. Can you say something?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. And the little doohickey on
Oh,
my screen recording software indicates that it's also capturing your audio. So we're off to a great start.
excellent.
Perfect. I think Don said he wanted to join us as well. I don't suppose you remember Don's mirrors or Discord name, do you?
Ugh, I do not.
Hey guys, we do have the text chat open, or at least I do. So if you guys do have any questions while we're chatting, feel free to put them in the text chat. There's like a specific chat for the AMA video stream. So anything you type in there, I'll actually keep an eye on. I think this is Don. Yeah, so Don, if you just click accept. All right. When are we getting tentacle models? Okay, this is off to a great start. Thank you, Sir Hawk.
Can you guys hear me okay?
We can, yes. It sounds like you're in a dark, deep dungeon, though.
Let me see if I can fix that.
It sounds a little echoey. Let's see here. I hope everyone's having a good day. Grant, how's your day going? While we let people filter in, we can have a little.
Very busy. A little Mirrorscapes behind the scenes. I've been battling Verizon for the past 3 weeks, trying to get our network unscrewed here for all of our developers. And after another 2 hours and 23 minutes this afternoon, we finally have a resolution.
Hey!
Shout out to Verizon. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey,
well, no,
is my
all the wasted time.
Is my background mirrored to you guys, or does it say Mirrorscape the right way?
It says Mirrorscape. It says it looks right.
It looks right on my screen. It's reversed. That's so weird. I don't know why that is. It's happened before as well, though, so I'm not sure why that is, but it's good to know.
Looks good.
Teams does the same. Okay, cool. So I'm not crazy. I spent like 15 minutes trying to figure out how to fix it, but if King Sack says Teams does the same, I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Trying to pull up the list of questions that we've received so far. Let's see how to do that. So Verizon, the call with Verizon went well. We have good internet now, which is fantastic news.
Yes. Our developers can now push in all their fabulous updates and changes that they've been working on, so we can get it out to all of you.
Oh, very cool. Before we start, do you want to talk about what might be on that horizon, or is that something we should talk about as an answer to some of the questions you might have?
Yeah, we can talk about answers with specific questions. I mean, nothing in particular, just day-to-day changes at the moment. We're prioritizing with a lot of the things that we know we need to make smoother, which is onboarding for our users. A lot of people have get in and they aren't quite sure what to do, and so we want to make the tutorials better and smoother. The tutorial system that we created, as many of you have probably seen, is a little finicky. Sometimes it gets stuck. They're not germane for the PC and Mac version. They're still mobile based. So we're doing a total overhaul of the tutorial system. We're also adding in push notifications so we can communicate with everybody better. And starting to work on game master tools that everybody is wanting to help you run your game, sessions, turn tracking, and also very popular, as a lot of you may have seen already, as part of our Mirrorscape Labs, the 2D image import for templating and negative terrain and just flat 2D maps if you want to import something.
All right, that's actually a really good segue into our first question from Tanis. Now that the PC version is out, we've seen some features, such as the movement ruler, that are available for the PC version, but not yet available in the mobile version. So when might the PC features be available on mobile as well? And will there be a point in time at which, the updates happen across the board for mobile and maybe PC, and then in the future even VR and other kinds of platforms.
Yeah, totally. So the ultimate goal, obviously, is to have everything be feature parity and to release either in conjunction or shortly thereafter with all the same feature set. It actually just kind of happened that way because we were working on the PC and Mac version, and the devs, kind of took it upon themselves to create all these really cool things, including the measurement tools, because it was something that everybody wanted, and our developer Nick had a pretty good plan on how to put that in place. So as we were developing the PC and Mac version, it just kind of went in there first, obviously. And it's also easier because we have keyboard commands and modifier keys and right mouse buttons and scroll wheels and all the things that, is a lot easier to add in there. And now we're rethinking how we best do that on the mobile interface, obviously, which is a little bit tougher. Because we're running out of gestures. And there's also a lot of confusion while we're talking about it with, like I said, with onboarding people. Like a lot of people come in and they're not quite sure how to drag assets out of the asset browser. Push and hold to lift up the element and drag it out is typically how it works on other mobile applications, but it confuses people. So we're talking about maybe switching that around a little bit. And as part of that, how we incorporate all the measurement tool stuff with gestures and toolbar buttons, icons, things like that.
Yeah, very cool. And I'll just stick with the PC questions for now and get those out of the way. How would you say, generally speaking, the PC beta is going?
How is the PC beta going in
Yeah, like
terms
what's
of?
your feedback? How's it felt? Does it feel like it's
Yeah, yeah, I think it's going well. I mean, it's something that everybody has wanted. So we're seeing a big uptake in that. I've got a lot more users on. Obviously you can't do AR in PC, but it's great for building. And it's kind of like, the idea has always been to be cross-platform, to have it PC, Mac, mobile, iOS, Android, VR, AR headsets, everything, right? Obviously, it's a lot of development work, and so it takes a little bit of time to get there. But yeah, I mean, it's great for building, right? You've got all the key commands and tools and stuff, and the interface is still, kind of still has some of the mobile effects on, like affects on it, the gestures and stuff like that. So obviously, over time, we're wanting to make it even more PC based, polishing it, having all of the palettes and sidebars to be tear off, so you can use multiple monitors with some of that stuff. So we'll be, finessing all of that, but it's cool, and it's we've got a lot of these extra features, as you noted, in the PC and Mac release, and now we need to backpedal to mobile. So sometimes you're going to see that kind of leapfrogging each version, and then we have to bring some features back. But we think it's best to get them out so that everybody can start testing them and we get some feedback before we fully integrate them, say, back into the mobile or something like that. But yeah, we've had a lot of great uptake. Lots of people are using it to build. We've had a lot more downloads, and also I don't know if everybody in the Discord knows, but we had a great article in PC Gamer magazine this morning drop. Eric, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I just actually posted that in the hub feed. If anybody wants to check that out. So
Cool. We can drop it in the chat here as well, Don, if you can.
yeah.
And then people are wondering, will they be able to buy assets through PC soon? So I think add Arc through the PC and then purchase the.
Yeah. So the story with that, again, showing that development is hard. So we obviously have to jump through a lot of hoops to get on iOS and Android, right? With all their app stores, it's basically required. So right now we're on itch.io because it was an easy way to, get this out to everybody. But we have in the background been working towards getting it on Steam. So it's up for pre-order right now, pre-release. So you guys should all sign up if you haven't. But there's a lot of hoops that you have to jump through, and Steam is basically like another store. So we have to use if you're on Steam, you have to implement their microtransaction API to go through their systems and use the Steam wallet. So we're having to implement all that stuff, and it's very tricky to do. But we literally today have most of that functionality in. We're also in a 2-week waiting period, or I guess one more week, where you have to have your pre-order store up and then submit a build, which we're about to do with all this stuff implemented. Then they'll review it, and then we should be able to get that out quickly. So once that's in, Steam will be the primary release mechanism, and yes, you'll be able to buy on PC just as you would on iOS or Android.
Awesome. Yeah. That reminds me. people were asking about updating the PC version, and I know for now you actually have to go to itch.io and manually download it and unzip it, install it. It installs over the old version, blah blah blah. When it comes out on Steam, from what I know, you'll be able to just click an update button, and then or you can even enable automatic updates, and then future versions of the PC version will automatically update. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So that's one of the niceties of going on Steam is it'll take care of that. We're also, as I said, implementing push notifications. So you'll also be able to potentially get a notification that there's an update available for the PC version. Obviously, your mobile version's auto download, but yeah, Steam will bring some of that same capability. Yeah, it's kind of a pain in the butt right now, like knowing when it's, you got to kind of pay attention to our, social posts and our feeds to know when a new version is dropped, but definitely want to have that all fixed up, make it easy for everybody to get the latest.
Nice, yeah, and we've had a really good time internally with all the labs features, the 2D map placement, and the auto camera tracking thing, where people can make really cool cinematic like videos of their builds. People have been wondering when the PC labs or when the labs will be available to the PC users.
Yeah, very soon we have our devs have created some guardrails around that so that when you turn it off, it actually, the big challenge is making sure that if you turn off a feature, it's not actually affecting any code, right? Like, or the application and could make it crash. So we're putting some guardrails around what it can and cannot interact with, like networking and things like that. So it doesn't screw up any of your games or say all of your maps that you've saved. So it shouldn't be long. Probably within the next week or two, we'll be able to roll that out for everybody. We're almost done with being able to get that stuff out, and you'll start seeing a lot of new features in there. Very early stuff as well for everybody to play with, and we can start getting early on feedback.
Yeah, and it's great
Yeah,
that. Go ahead, Don.
I don't know if anybody saw the video that Liger's Eye made. I don't know if he made it yesterday, but I saw it yesterday. Really incredible, the way that he, one, totally understands how to use the product, but two, flew his virtual camera through, a world that he had built. And, it's really cool in the idea that, I see this being set up as a way to record. You can make cutscenes, you can, eventually add VO and things like that, and really kind of, help DMs, bring people into the setting in a way that, is super cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
absolutely amazing.
And it's cool that you said within a week or two, because anyone that, if a week or two passes and they don't get it, will be tagging me, not you. So thank you so much for that.
It makes us so much better. It's like I can say anything I want, and then you have to deal with it.
Oh yeah, thank you. No, it's lovely when that happens. Some more application specific questions I think are coming through. Will the players soon have the ability to themselves open the doors? And I think that we've been talking about this specific feature internally quite a bit. And it's a couple things. It's if you group assets together that happen to have doors, you then cannot access the doors independently. And on the flip side, if you have players, you can't allow them to access the doors currently. So if the GM was to say, hey, go ahead and open that door, the player can't currently do that. The player has to say, I would like to open the door, then the GM has to manually do it. So do you foresee a feature in the future that will allow players to be able to manipulate those assets, like doors, windows, maybe
Yeah,
trap doors and stuff?
absolutely. Yeah. So, two things on that. One, it's not supposed to be that way. That's just an artifact of how the system was designed, right? You get these things out, and then you're like, we get these out to you guys early, and obviously this is an early beta, so you realize when you're playing with this stuff, it's like, oh yeah, we have to take care of that situation, right? And so it's just the way that Fog of War and groups work. So we have to just do some extra code in there that lets you interact with doors separately. Shouldn't be a big lift. We have it on the list for sure. And then the second part of that is, one of the things that we've been wanting to do and we're slowly working towards is interactive terrain. So that is where, you can have the concept of triggers and actions. So triggers can be a button that we provide. It can be, a timed event. It could be an area that you put on the map, and when a character moves on it, it can open a door, spring a trap. And then, any of these can trigger actions, from like opening that door, springing the trap, or making something visible, making something invisible, dropping down the next fog of war group. We want to design this whole flexible system where you guys can basically kind of script up these actions, and make things happen based on what the players are doing. One of those things will be doors. And then we also need to put controls on it, so, a DM can say whether a player can open the door or not. So it's all kind of that interactive terrain system. So it's a little bit more complicated to make sure that will all work together in the future.
Okay, cool.
Short
And
answer
then,
is yes.
yes. Okay, cool. And people are also wondering, is there going to be a system at any point in time where instead of purchasing Rcoin, people might be able to earn Rcoin through different quests or adventures or referrals, or any other way? How do you foresee maybe like a
Yeah.
reward system working out in the near future?
Yeah, certainly. We want to give all kinds of ways to earn our coin. We're working on, kind of a badging slash achievement system where, we can get players to come in and do all kinds of things, just rewarding you, for creating an account right off the bat and getting into the app, or like making a first purchase and all those kinds of things. So we're creating a tiered structure for that. And part of that will be our coin awards. So yes, you'll be able to earn some. And then there's also been a lot of requests to be able to gift our coins. So we'll be working on that as well.
That was actually, I believe, one of the questions. Speaking of gifts, though, King Sax says, "Okay, my question's very, very important, as it could affect my birthday and Christmas gift giving. Now that mappers have gone to Steam PC, is there a plan to integrate them with Steam VR or even Quest 3? I'm trying to decide which VR to get. Lol."
Yes. So we are definitely moving towards spatial computing, which is Apple's fancy term for VR or XR. So a lot of people probably don't know, but we have been working with Qualcomm in their Snapdragon Spaces program, and working with the Lenovo Think Reality AR glasses. So those are some of the early ones that were available. So we've been working on a spatialized interface, and we have the basics of that working. And I think it was about 4 months ago and this is, I've been thinking about this and designing this thing from 4.5 years ago, and I've always dreamt of the day that you'd be able to reach out and pick up the piece with your fingers and move it. And we had that working in a prototype about 4 months ago. So that is the holy crap moment when you're like, oh my God, like, these are real pieces on the tabletop. And
I
so
mean,
when, yeah, go Don.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Also, the life scale in these XR glasses is unbelievable, right? And just the fluidity from which you can play on the tabletop, and then have a POV around your room and then go right back to that. That was amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, that's almost like VR, right? Because if your whole dungeon is like taking up your living room, and of course you can see that you get the idea on your iPad or Android device now with the walkthrough, but you can imagine that in the glasses, and it's actually in 3D, right? So you're actually moving through a 3D environment. So all these spatialized headsets are coming out, so we're looking at which ones to be on. Obviously, the ones that make the most sense are the stuff that Qualcomm is doing. Of course, the Quest 3, given the price point, is relatively inexpensive. And then, of course, the one that's coming out is incredibly expensive at $3,500 is Apple's Vision Pro, but it's also has probably some of the most advanced technological capabilities, really proving what an AR headset can do. And not everybody will be able to afford that, but it's more for people like us, like where we can start developing on this. And then as the price points come down, everybody will be able to afford it. But the shorter answer is yes, we want to be on. Most likely, we'll be getting on. Once we get on one of these, like as we've already started to do with Qualcomm, the rest of them will come pretty quickly because we're developing in Unity. So once we spatialize the interface and have that in, translating it to the other systems will go pretty quickly. So The first ones, we've been working with Qualcomm. We definitely want to be on Quest 3 and, of course, Apple.
Very cool. And yeah, it's awesome to look forward to those kind of technologies. But Tess has a question about going back a little bit. Will there ever be a web-based playing version like Roll20 or Owlbear has, or will it always be application-based?
That is a good question. It's difficult. So we have some colleagues and other companies we've been talking to that are very heavy into web AR technologies. And so we're looking at how we might be able to convert that, but it's quite difficult to do to get the breadth of this system into a web-based system. So web AR, or even maybe just our, that would probably not be the way to go, but we might be able to get, the virtual environments in there and stuff like that. But that's definitely something we'd have to look at. Cramming that into a browser is a much bigger lift than creating a dedicated application on these platforms.
All right, very cool. And once the current PC and app versions are at a point that we release them as considered full, finished, out of beta, um, what's the next step after that? What's the bigger picture after we've got what I would say would be the tabletop experience, the virtual tabletop, the game system set in, the character sheets. Like once it feels like a full-fledged experience, where do we go from there?
So that's a lot of stuff, right? We want
Might be
to,
it might be
like,
a
right now,
couple might be a couple more weeks, but after those few weeks,
just a couple. Yeah, but I mean, so the short term, like I said, is we're continuing to polish the app, making it smoother, like onboarding, notifications, some of the like basic things that are still a little left out, right? And then getting on the game tools and the content that you guys want to play, right? So we've started to do deals, one of which is with Paizo that we announced. We've got some others very shortly. All this stuff takes way longer than you could ever imagine trying to get these companies, particularly bigger companies, to get on board and to have the lawyers deal with all the contracts. But we're very close on a lot of those. So bringing on that content and, like I said, giving you those game tools that are in other VTTs like turn trackers and things like that, character sheets. So we've got that pipeline, but ultimately, the goal is to really provide, tons of user creation tools for everybody, right? So you guys can sculpt your own terrain, you can paint your own minis in the application, right? Miniature painting is such a big part of the hobby, and like one of the things I've wanted to do for so long, or I have been doing for so long, but wanted to do for so long in the app, right? Lots of cool ways that we can have you paint up your minis and then share those with the community. So there'll be hundreds of different paint jobs and skins for these different minis and terrain pieces. And then giving you guys a scriptable system that enables kind of a visual editor that allows you to create your own games on the platform, right? So not just Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder. You can bring on your own homebrew campaign. We'll use that to bring on other game systems, like a Pathfinder or a Starfinder or a Call of Cthulhu or whatever. But then you guys will be able to use it to, create up your own game systems. And then also some really cool things that we're working on that we want to show you all soon is artificial intelligence tools. There's been a lot of examples out there. I'm sure most of you have probably seen with like the AI GM. We don't believe that's the way to go, right? Because the whole point of this is, the human connection and role playing and being with your fellow players. But we do think there's a lot of opportunity for using AI to help you run your games. And we've got a really cool demo that is up and functional, ingesting the material from our partners that lets the DM query it for things like, what's the motivation of this character? Where did this character first appear? Or what's their hit point or attack bonus? Or how would they defend against a flaming sword attack? And it will bring up all this stuff with the AI bot. And you can use it to surface information. You can use it for inspiration on how you might want to play something in the moment. You don't have to juggle all these different books and resources. So it's kind of like a really souped up compendium, right? That you can ask all these advanced questions of. So it's pretty cool. And so we want to start integrating that and then also allowing you guys to channel that to create your own objects, for instance, and artwork and other things that you might use in your campaigns. So lots of ways that we want to use this stuff, but integrating those tools is going to, change the game, we think.
Yeah, absolutely. And to expand on that, we've also, started thinking about how it might work as a, if you put down a 2D map, is there a way for AI to kind of generate the general shape of it at least? So if people need something quickly on the fly, that 2D map AI can kind of, analyze it and then put a 3D version on top of it. But again, as Grant was saying, we really are driving home the point that nothing in our roadmap is going to replace the human component at all. If anything, we're just trying to, the vision of the whole the project is to make gameplay easier, more fun, and focus on the fun aspects of it and take as much of the laborious parts out of it. So I think it is important to make sure that that is reiterated. Because it's such a controversial topic, especially since it's so young, it's so new. People are using it in different ways. There's been such backlash, and we want to make sure that the human artists are always rewarded as well. And I mean, this goes back to our philosophy of wanting to make sure that even in your local game stores are still important part of the system. You know what I mean? So it's always been a core philosophy to keep it local, to keep it fresh, to keep it around the table. So proud of the fact that we're not looking to get rid of any human components during the making of this project.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
how about a general idea of our roadmap or priorities, both in the short term and then in the longer term? I know we kind of just brushed over some of it, but if we could get a little bit more specific about here's what the next 3 months looks like, maybe the next six, and then beyond.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of what I outlined. So it's, again, we're polishing the rough edges. We need better onboarding, make it a little easier for people who are just opening the app to get in and understand what's going on, particularly people who've never used a VTT before or unfamiliar with, these types of tools. Push notifications so we can update you on all kinds of things that are happening in the app and on the hub, continuing to flesh out the hub and integrate that into the app. The map sharing stuff is amazing. Being able to just find a map that you like and pop that open into the app or put it into your map manager. The So those are like, in the next few weeks. And then really continuing on the AI stuff, on getting the interactive terrain in, getting in the VTT tools that everybody's asking for, the 2D map import, right? Fleshing that out, finalizing that. Um, Turn trackers, minimal character sheets that you can put in. We've got basically like a three pronged approach to the whole character sheet thing. To get going very quickly, we're going to have very basic character sheets that you can input stats in that directly affect your characters on the maps, like movement speed, vision speed, and all that kind of stuff. I saw somebody asking in the chat about true fog of war. So if you put in your vision speed, we're looking at things for your characters to be able to only see as far as they can actually see. So, things like that that affect the game or the map. And then creating a modular character sheet system where we can build templates for all the different game systems. And then the third phase would be, full on character sheet gen like D&D Beyond, right? Like where it'll take you through with our licensed content, building a character with all the different options presented to you. That's the most difficult part, obviously. So all of the GM and character tools, the AI tools, interactive terrain, the weather and spell effects, and then further down the road is all of those um, like additional spell effects, not spell effects, but character creation tools. So the kind of a visual scripting kind of thing that we're talking about, where you can bring on your own homebrew game systems, and you can script things that might happen in the app, and even like tying that in with the camera controls that are in Mirrorscape Labs, where you can set different points that you want to view, creating a timeline there where you can actually change the different keys and like you would in an editing program, and change the you know uh, inflow and outflow rate and trigger events that happen when you arrive at these different points. So almost creating it like a machinima tool, right? Where you can use this as a way to just tell like fantasy stories if you're not actually using it to game. So, there'll be lots of different uses for these tools, but, giving you guys the maximum amount of creative potential with these tools.
Very cool. And yeah, you mentioned a little bit earlier how difficult it is to work out some of these deals before we can make them publicly known. You got to hammer out a lot of details. You got to hammer out a lot of agreements. Blah blah blah. But do you have any? Can you reveal any potential partners that we might have down the road? Anyone that we've been talking to? Anyone we'd like to work with? Can you? I think people are just looking for you to drop a couple names here and there. I don't know if you feel like doing that, and if you can't, totally fine. But I'm going to put
Yeah.
you on the spot because when I get asked, I just say I'll put Grant on the spot when I have the opportunity to do so. So
Yeah, nothing to reveal at this time, but we are so close. And I know I've said that before, but we literally have 2 to 3 contracts that are very close to signing. So obviously don't want to jeopardize any of that by talking about it right now, but we are very close to getting some more of these really cool companies that you will all know on board the system. So
all
stay
right,
tuned, very
I'll,
soon.
I'll I'll take you off the spot. I can see you turning a little red there, so I'll go ahead and take the pressure off.
Remember, it's a good question. I always ask that stuff, like of other companies, but I also understand why they say what they say because you don't want to jeopardize any of the things that you're about to sign.
Right, Don, did you want
Yeah,
to chirp in there?
yeah, I would say, what we can definitely say is that there's a variety of different types of game companies we're going to bring on, and some of them might be wargaming, and some of them might be sci-fi based, or some of them might be superhero based, or things like that. So we're definitely looking at a large range of different types of IP to bring on to give a really defined and curated game experience when you come. And it's not just going to be 5e. It's not just going to be Paizo. It will be, basically there will be a flavor for everybody in this VTT store.
Yeah, and to expand on that, I think it's important that people realize a lot of our work, a lot of our development goes into focusing on how to be a robust tool, but also be easy to understand, have it be simple. We want it to be, easy to learn, and then like have it be but a very robust when people kind of dig in and see some of the other features that they're like, oh wow, this can also do this. This can also do this. Like, it is important for us that when you sit down with it, it makes sense. And then somehow also add a whole bunch of features that it's like an Apple product. I hate to use that as an example because of the Apple versus Android versus Windows historic stuff, but Apple did a very good job of offering a lot of features, but people can really understand it out of the box. And I think that that's kind of a philosophy that we've been concentrating on, which is also why it might take a little bit longer to get some features in there. I think because we want to make sure that when the features are in there, it's easy to understand how to use them and why they work and how they work.
Yeah. I mean, it's no secret that I am an Apple fanboy and always have been. And I've had a Mac since they came out in 1984 and have never turned back. But look, everybody has their own personal preference. But what I used to work at Apple also. So the kind of the design methodology of Steve Jobs is always stuck in my head, right? Of, making it simple and elegant, right? You want to make it simple to use, intuitive, elegant, all of those things. And we still have some work to do there. I'm not satisfied with it. Like there's a lot of rough edges, and those are the stuff that we're trying to, like I'm saying, trying to smooth out. And then also you want to make it bespoke to every platform. Right? So right now we're doing a little more on PC, and then you need it to be a fully spatialized interface in these other applications. And right now, all we've got is these the palettes and the asset browser and the things that you see on the screen in 3D space, right? And then the map, obviously, in 3D on your table. But those really need to conform lots of things that we can do with the spatialized interface, right? You can imagine all of your stuff in like a toy box that you can pull out each of your pieces, right? Just like a container that you would in real life. So there's different methodologies for all of these, and it takes a lot of iteration, and that's why some things are a little rough, right, when we release them, but it's better to get it in your hands and to have you guys test it and just know that we're continuing to refine it, and then some features kind of grow out, and we got to bring them back in and make it all elegant again. So it's always going to kind of be this push pull of development cycles, and that's just kind of par for the course. But the trick, like Eric said, is really all the features that we're adding and want to add over the time, still integrating them in a way that is easy to use, very easy to understand, elegant, and all those things. And so, we're striving to do that. Still have a lot of work to do, but that's the goal.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm going to go through the chat. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Don.
I would just pile onto that and just say, one of our biggest focuses from the beginning was to not only make a drop dead simple product that was, very powerful, but it's also to figure out a way to bring in people who have never played these types of games because they're intimidated by the crunchiness or the rules intensive nature of them, and help integrate their first introduction into RPGs or tabletop RPGs with Mirrorscape as a very positive one, right? And getting and bringing in all these different people that have always wanted to try this, but they looked at, maybe an interface on a website and said, that's not for me, or someone gave them a 200-page book and they said, I'm not going to read that, right? So there's, a million different ways to bring people into this, make the market a lot bigger, and, have all those new creative people come into Mirrorscape, help elevate the product, build new things for the community to use. And that's kind of always been my dream.
Yeah, I think that's
and
very
that's
well said.
like along those lines too, is the word I always use and come back to is authentic, right? Authentic tabletop gameplay. And that's why we started with augmented reality. That's why we are working with partners that everybody knows and love, like Dwarven Forge, Fat Dragon, Reaper, Hero Forge, all those people, because we want it to look and feel realistic, right? And that's something that no other tabletop product has. So, we always want to keep that in our minds. And the vision from the beginning has always been, the day when augmented and virtual reality are ubiquitous and everybody has one. And again, that reaching out and grabbing those pieces as if they're actually there, that is a magical blow your mind moment. And it's going to change the way that people play games forever. So, this is all in service to that and for that ultimate vision of the future. But obviously, we are wanting to be on every platform that everybody has right now. But all this stuff underpinning it is working towards that future that hopefully materializes. And, with Apple's new headset, everybody's all excited about it again with the Meta Quest 3 and that price point. There's a big resurgence in, augmented and virtual reality. So I think it's going to have a bright future, and we're going to keep going in that direction.
Nice. I'm going to go ahead and go through the text chat and find some questions people have been asking. We got asked about spell effects, whether more assets, more monsters, expanding the current options, which we do every week, and specifically some of the Hero Forge stuff. The quality on some of the Hero Forge models doesn't seem as high as it could be, or at least not as high as it is on the Hero Forge website. Will we be able to kind of juice up that quality? And the second part of that question I'll handle quickly is the glitchiness of Hero Forge imported units. I did bring that up, and I did find a solution for that particular issue. If you load a map that has Hero Forge minis in it, they will be glitchy. And then if you actually remove them and put them back on there, they'll be fine. If your players join the game and there's already Hero Forge minis on there, simply delete those and put them back on there after they've joined, and the glitchiness will be gone. The developers are aware of that solution and are implementing a permanent solution. So that specific issue I was able to cover, but do you want to talk about kind of how to juice up the quality on maybe not even just the Hero Forge ones, but maybe some of the assets that are already in there?
Yeah, so the Hero Forge stuff obviously is coming from another company. So, they have, so all of the assets in the app are using what's called LODs or LODs, meaning level of details. So because no matter whether you're on PC or not, but especially if you're on mobile and an AR, you're limited in terms of how many pixels these processors, although it's getting better and better with the latest generations of phones, can process every frame. And so when miniatures are, far away, pieces are far away, you don't need to have all those thousands of polygons to render. It can just be a couple, 50 or something, because it's so tiny and you can't really tell the difference. So as elements get further from you, it swaps out these different levels of detail. So with Hero Forge, we are using their SDK and, of course, grabbing what they make available to us. And they have many different levels of LODs. So we're still fine-tuning which LODs that we're going to pick and which ones that we can support performatively on mobile, especially. And we are also looking, of course, to up that on PC because we get more processing powers on your PC. So it's really about fine tuning. They certainly look better than they did. They were really wonky before, and now they're looking much, much better. But we're definitely going to continue to play with those quality levels and what we can support on each platform. It's a little bit of a dance and a delicate balancing act with this kind of stuff in terms of performance is really what it is.
All right. And when autosave?
Yeah, autosave. That's another one, yes. It is on our roadmap for sure. It's one of those things that wouldn't be too difficult. So we just need to reprioritize that up a little bit. It's one of those things in development land, all things come together. Oh, that'd be pretty easy. We could do that pretty quick. But then, oh, this is important. That's important. Everything's important, right? So it's a really hard balancing act. And we have, a limited number of developers and limited time. So it's just a fine balancing act of what we prioritize. But we are definitely always looking at our feedback portal on Feedbear, feedback.mirrorscape.com. So, if you have features you want to see, go there and upvote them because we are looking at that as well as the surveys that we send out in terms of what people think are the most important. But yes, autosave will be coming.
Yeah, I just to give people a brief history of Mirrorscape. The three of us on this call are the OGs, like day one. And poor Eric used to build something and then he would not save it, and then the app would crash and it would all get lost. And I can remember that happening over and over and over again. And I don't really hear about it anymore, which is actually a really amazing testament to how stable the platform has become. I built something today that was probably 3,000 pieces. It actually had a floating coliseum in the middle of it. And I remember after I got done, I was like, oh my God, I have not saved this in like over 2 hours. And it didn't crash. So yeah, autosave is amazing. But what's also amazing is just the idea that the app is so stable now and it doesn't crash anymore, because that used to be a very disheartening moment when you realized that you had not saved something you'd worked a long time on. So.
Well, and after the first few times it happened, it did become my own fault. So I take full responsibility after the first 3 times.
Obviously, the idea is not to have any crashes, but it's really tough. Even as you try to wall off different features, and that's what we're talking about with labs, right? Any of this really early stuff, we want to make sure that it doesn't affect any of the other code to cause crashes, especially when you guys are building all these amazing maps. I should say that one of the first things that we're working on as part of these Game Master tools, and that everybody on the survey and on Feedbear have wanted, is the idea of game sessions. So you'll be able to instantiate a game session and save that stuff. So not only will you save maps, you'll be able to save where all the minis were left. You'll be able to save, what Fog of War was dropped. You'll be able to save when we have the compendium stuff up, what's in that. You'll be able to save who was invited and just reopen that session. Everybody gets reinvited and you're right back to where you're at. And so part of that is kind of having to readdress the save system and how we save stuff. So autosave will be a part of that. So it will be coming up very soon because it'll be a part of that.
Okay, and then this might be a question for both of you. Any info on commercial licensing for someone that wants to use this platform as a business setting or a business tool?
Yeah, I saw that. I would love to get more info on what they were thinking. We're more than happy to talk about that.
I think
because there's.
I've addressed a few of these in the past, and people are kind of wondering, homebrew creators that have created their own very cool systems. We've seen so many awesome systems on Kickstarter that have like adventures that are included. If they wanted to kind of allow people to try out their systems or their adventures or their campaigns using Mirrorscape maybe as even, the way they advertise how they will be released. How would something like that work? If an
Yeah.
independent game creator came up to us and said, "Hey, I've got an idea. I don't have a huge company yet, but I'm really passionate. I've got like a bunch of people that love my idea as well. They're ready to play. I want to create an experience in Mirrorscape that I can let people start playing." How would we go about doing something like that?
Yeah. I
Contact.
mean, yeah. Totally. Contact us. One, I'd love to have those conversations. More than happy to talk about that from the business standpoint, right? And figure out how we can work with that, like depending on if there's features that aren't there or whatever. But then again, like what I was saying earlier is, we want to provide all of these creation tools. And part of that is being able to create your own games, right? And bring on your own homebrew systems and really create more sophisticated things. This will take quite a bit of time to fully get there, but we'll be releasing these tools over time, allowing you to be able to do more and more, where eventually you'll be able to use it without really contacting us. You can make whatever you want on it, right? But for early stage stuff like with our licensees or licensors, we will you know we have to do a little bit more heavy lifting because we don't have those tools exposed for everybody just to use. But eventually, you can imagine you can self-publish any game on the platform that you would like. So that's the ultimate holy grail. Like you're talking about, Eric, like what's the long-term process? That's the long-term prospect is letting people being able to self-publish on this platform. But in the short term, yeah, just contact us and let's talk.
Yeah, I just would say also, we would love, and this is an open engagement to all of our audience everywhere, is for people to come in and prototype games on Mirrorscape, right? We've built a platform that's much easier to use than Tabletop Simulator. Like Grant said, it doesn't have all the tools yet, but we'd love for people to start using our system to prototype games that they might be launching on Kickstarter, do things like that. And we're happy to see how we can assist you in doing so as we build out these tools, because we feel like what we've built is more intuitive, it's easier, and if we can get it into more people's hands to prototype games that they want to then launch on Kickstarter, it helps the whole community.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree. I think that's kind of it for all the questions that I've seen from before and during this chat. Is there anything else you guys kind of wanted to talk about? You guys want to drop anything in the chat to say? There's a lot of people saying that they're having a really good time with Mirrorscape. They play their weekly sessions in Mirrorscape. I know I personally do my weekly session. We're just finishing up Lost Mines, and it's been super fun. I know it doesn't that doesn't mean much coming from the guy that works with the company, but it really has been a pleasure. The One of my players is brand new. This is the only tabletop experience he's ever had, and he just gets it. He goes on, he moves his mini. We talk about it, and I think this kind of goes towards that last question. Is if you have a one shot setting that you want to run. Build it in Mirrorscape and then run it as though people are sitting around a table. I think that's how a lot of people have been currently using the application to build what they're working on and to build what they're creating, and then going from there. It's just a matter of us providing you with more tools. But in the meantime, people played this way for 40 years, 50 years. So hopefully, it's not too
Yeah,
difficult to.
and I would say, we've got amazing maps and builds in there, and that stuff we can easily see because we can go into, the hub and see where you're sharing all your maps, which is amazing. I'm like adding them all to my already overstuffed map manager. But we'd love to see how you guys play with it. So more recorded sessions from you guys. We'd be happy to link to them and create a web page, or obviously put it in the hub and start seeing how you guys all are playing your games on this, because obviously we want to build out the tools. So we know how we use it. We'd love to see how you guys use it as well.
This may be
I
a.
see a couple of.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I said
A couple of
I
questions.
saw a couple. Someone said cards, which I assume means
Yeah.
how do we integrate playing cards? And I think this is probably an extension of the 2D map thing that we've been implementing in labs. So if you want to expand on that, that'd be great.
Yeah. So obviously cards is a big part of it. It's ironic that the original prototype versions, which many of you have used, actually had a card deck down at the bottom to stand in for all of the pieces that you dragged out. So obviously we want to rebuild a more fully flexible system so that you can have cards on the table, especially in augmented reality. You can have them in the sidebar. You can have them in your asset library. So there's lots of things that we're designing there, but it's absolutely, we know we need it. So we'll be bringing that in for sure. I also see map sorting and folders.
Yeah, they're just yelling
That,
things now that we're gonna have to interpret as being questions. I don't know. So yeah, just
I
go ahead
know
and shout
exactly what
out
you mean.
stuff, and we'll kind of try to answer them as a question. So Grant, map sorting and folders.
Yeah.
Next week.
The yeah, no. Uh, the map manager is going to be completely overhauled. Because again, we're talking about game sessions, so it's going to be like a game session slash map manager. It's going to have a lot more capabilities. It's going to be a lot cooler. So all that stuff will come with that. Excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, eventually we'd like for you to be able to pair your adventure or your module with a map and then package that, and then you can share the whole thing, and you can, or, make a DM only channel for these types of maps that have the content so your players can't read it. But yeah, I mean, Grant and the team have amazing ideas on how to implement all this stuff. And, all I can say is that it's going to be amazing, and it's going to be a lot better than what the VTTs that you used to play with, right? They're the methodologies, the thought process, the implementation are all really amazing.
Yeah, and to kind of expand on that, the hub is a really great place to start organizing a lot of this, and the evolution of the hub might be how a lot of this comes together. So, if you do have an idea for a great game, I think there's actually a few of them in there already, but people have started to create hub groups for their own custom made rule systems or environments or settings or one shots. I personally created a hub group for a one shot that contains, the literature on it, the characters you need, the Mirrorscape map that you would use, and it's all centralized right there. And if anyone else oh, I ran this adventure, and then my characters did this, so I wrote this adventure. If you want to hook it in, here's how you do it. And you can kind of have these groups start to grow organically through player and GM participation. But I think as people kind of start to embrace how the hub works and the core idea behind it, it'll start to make a lot more sense and be a lot more organically involved with the application itself.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels a little bit separated because they've kind of been developing on separate paths, and now we're starting to merge the two. And it's a little tricky to do that because the hub is obviously web-based and we're app-based. So integrating that stuff takes a little bit of communication between the two. But the idea is to have these more tightly entwined as the future goes on. We've got lots of cool ideas for that. And I would just like to say here that I see a lot of people on the chat saying that our devs are the best. And I would like to second that. They are the best. We have an amazing team. Chris, Nick, and Mert are absolutely amazing in all that they do and are just fantastic in helping bring this thing to life. Got a great product manager in Brad. And yeah, just a really great team overall.
Some
So
great artists as
the devs,
well. Some great digital painters and sculptors.
yep. And Trip, who does our sales and marketing, fantastic as well. So everybody all around is just fantastic. So
There's a lot of
it
questions
really
coming up.
is.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go for it.
No, I was just saying a lot of people want
I,
to talk about my hair, so I didn't know if we wanted to kind of change gears and go down that road, or if you guys wanted to stay on track here.
I definitely just want to say something, and that is, we worked really hard to make this a reality, and the fact that you guys show up and use it and play it and give us feedback, you're our fourth developer, and you guys have a hand in all of our success, and you have a direct feedback mechanism through Eric, and I just want to say thank you. There's been a lot of thought and late nights put into this product, and the fact that you guys show up and you use it and you help elevate it and you help make it better, and then you are a part of the community and participate in a way that we always had dreamed people would do but never really expected them to. Just want to say thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And your feedback is super, like, I don't just say this to continue getting feedback, but when you guys tell us you want something, literally the more you guys say you want it, the higher up our list of can we get this done sooner it goes. We do look at that feedback portal. As you guys know, you guys have been chatting a little bit with Bill in our hub support channel in Discord. So Bill's been amazing as well and very responsive. But those kind of features and everything, the more you guys ask, the louder your voice is, the faster it gets responded to. So that feedback is not just valuable, but it lets us know what you guys want next. Yeah, we got dirt coming. It's like next week. The dirt comes with the whole cemetery pack. You use that for dirt. It'll be. I'm looking
like
for dirt too.
the consideration for the buy all button. Absolutely, I love that idea. And I think it was probably you that said that before. We are absolutely talking about a way to do that, as well as sort easier with like stuff you don't own and so on and so forth. So all that stuff is coming. Yes.
Yeah, I think even beyond that, just there's going to be a lot of improvement and growth in the store in general. A lot of people kind of are just like, hey, can I just not see stuff that I already own? Is that an option? It will be very soon, so you guys don't have to kind of like claw through to see what you don't have. We do know and we are aware that some people are still having inventory population issues, like they don't see the right stuff for a minute. A lot of that has to do with the application loading properly and you allowing enough time for it to load before doing stuff. So we're going to introduce a splash screen to address that. So there are some things like that we are actively fixing that will improve the experience as well on both the app and the store, and of course the hub too.
For sure.
Just trying to see if you guys are saying anything useful or not, but nope.
Once we start talking about Eric's hair, I think that's it.
Yeah, it's
run 4 o'clock, guys. I'm gonna tap out.
Yeah.
All right, thanks a lot, Don. No, we're closing in on exactly an hour. I think that's a great place to cut it. The chat is starting to lose their minds. They get a little bit cranky if they haven't had snacks for about an hour. So we'll go ahead and yes, I am recording this. In theory, I'm recording it properly. I guess we'll find out shortly. And if I did, it will be uploaded to our YouTube channel, which I will drop the link to in the Discord. Yes, Rain Shine, you were promised a 10K Discord follower giveaway. I will handle that in the general chat. So yes, I've got a drawer here full of space dice redeem codes and sword codes for a Dwarven Forge piece that I want to get rid of. So yes, if you're listening in general, say, hey, Eric, give me a code for some space dice, and I will do so unless I run out, and then I'll figure out something else. Thank you, Grant, so much. As usual, I know how hard it is to peel an hour of your time away. We really appreciate it. Thank you to the community. And if you're watching later, yeah, if you want the space dice, just tag me and say, hey, I want some space dice, and I'll take care of you.
Yeah, and thanks again, community. We love you guys. Love to see what you create with this. I always knew when this came out, you guys would make amazing things, and you're even, going above and beyond expectations. So super amazing. And thank you, Eric, for your awesome hosting. And we want to do these more often. So we're going to try and schedule these for at least every other week. Just maybe, showing like new developments and some things that we're working on and taking your questions or tips and tricks, like all different kinds of things. So if you have ideas for that, be sure to hit Eric up and in the Discord and on the hub.
Stop asking for free stuff in here. Do it in general. In the Discord. Jesus, you guys are a nightmare. I'm just kidding. I love you all. Thank you guys so much. And Grant, thank you so much. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks.
All right, bye.